Hi class. What we're going to be doing today is we are going to solve mass problems. So remember how yesterday we talked about mass as being the amount of matter that's in an object. We're talking about how heavy or how light something is. We used paper clips as an example of 1 gram. 1 gram is about as heavy as 1 paper clip. The other unit that we used is kilograms. A kilogram is about the same mass as a dictionary. They feel about the same. So today we are going to be doing some word problems with these units of measurement. We are also going to be going back to the bucket balance that I showed you in yesterday's. Again, I don't have one with me, but I have one that we're going to use so we can think about when we are balancing objects. So what you need to get started, you need your sharp pencil. You also need workbook pages 651 through 656. Please get those now. All right, let's get started. The first thing that I want you to remind you of before we even start doing these problems is when we have a bucket balance. A bucket balance. If the buckets are at the same level like mine are now, it means that whatever is in these two buckets has the same mass. They're equal. They're equal. If one bucket is tilted to one side, this side has more mass, this side has less mass. This side has more mass, this side has less mass. But today we're going to be looking at bucket balances that are equal. They're not tilted in either direction, they're equal. So let's keep that in mind as we look at number 1. Example number 1 on page 651 says, the bucket balance shows the mass of 1 marker. What is the mass of 5 markers? So we're going to find the unknown. Look at that picture they gave us of the bucket balance. Notice how it's balanced. Both buckets have the same amount of mass in them. So one side has how many grams? 8. 8 grams. The other side of the balance has 1 marker. So that's important information for us to know. We know that 1 marker equals 8 grams. And I'm writing this down. I think it's helpful for me to keep my thinking straight. You don't have a lot of room there in your book, but maybe you could write this down on some scratch paper. So we know 1 marker is equal to 8 grams. Let's go back to what the question is asking us. What is the mass of 5 markers? Okay, we're not just trying to find the mass of 1 marker that we already know. We're trying to find the mass of 5 markers. So you can see that they have, on the bottom of the page, they already have our equations set up for us. They show us that we're gonna do, if there's 8 grams for 1 marker, and we need to find the mass of 5 markers, we can do 8 times 5. The little blue bubble says you can also use repeated addition if that's easier for you. Personally, I would rather multiply. So 5 markers are 8 grams each, so we multiply. 5 times 8 equals 40. The unknown is 40 grams. So the mass of 5 markers is 40 grams. Not too bad. We used the picture to help us. We took our thinking step by step. We did a great job. Let's move on to example number 2. Example 2 says, what is the total mass of the 2 pieces of fruit? Write an equation with a letter for the unknown, then solve. Remember, when we write an unknown, a lot of times we just use a question mark. They're asking us to use a letter. That's okay. Pick your favorite letter. We'll put it in our equation. Okay, When I was reading the word problem, I noticed a very important key word, a key word that tells us that we need to add. That is total. Remember, when we see or read the word total, the complete amount all together, how much do we have? So we need to add how many total grams are these two pieces of fruit. And they've written the equation for us. They said 216, which is the mass of the apple, plus 132 equals F. Oh, they chose F probably for fruit. Fruit, the unknown mass of the fruit. Okay. So they give you a little space on the side to show your work. Add 216 and 132 together now. The total mass of the two pieces of fruit is 348 grams. We're doing a great job. If we take it piece by piece, step by step, these problems are not a big deal. All right, now we're moving down to the next section, guided practice. I'm also going to do a couple of these together with you before you try some on your own. Let's do number 1. It says, write an equation with a letter for the unknown. Then solve. Okay, we can do this. Remember when we've done word problems in the past. D-E-A-L. Draw equation. We know how to write equations. Let's do number 1. What is the mass of 9 buttons? Do they want you to go and find buttons in your house and try to measure them? No. Notice on the side it gives us a bucket balance and it tells us all the information we need to know. Let's read that bucket balance and see what it's telling us. I noticed that both of the buckets are at the same level. That means they must be balanced. So I see in one bucket they say 4 grams. 4 grams is the same as what? Just looks like there's one button there. Oh, so one button weighs 4 grams. That's great. The problem is asking us, what is the mass of 9 buttons? Friends, there's 2 ways that we can solve this. We can say 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4 all the way and add it 9 times, or we can shorten that into a multiplication equation. We know that each button is how many grams? 4 grams. We're trying to find the mass of how many buttons? 9 buttons. Our equation should look like this. Four grams times 9 buttons equals B. I chose B because B would stand for buttons. This is what you should write down on your line now. Now the last thing we have to do is solve. 4 times 9. 4 times 9 is 36. Are we done with this problem? Don't forget our label. 36 what's? 36 grams. We can abbreviate the word grams by just writing a lowercase g. Grams isn't a very long word, but we don't have to write it out all the time. So I'm putting a box around the 2 things that you should have written on your line. You should have your equation with a letter for our unknown, and then we should have our answer with a label. Let's move on to problem number 2. Number 2 says, what is the mass of one jack? I see that they have a picture of a bucket balance. Let's look at that first. I see on one side of the bucket balance, it says that there are 30 grams. On the other side of the bucket balance, they have a group of jacks. Let's count how many jacks there are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, what do we know? We know 30 grams is equal to 6 jacks. But it's not asking us the mass of 6 jacks, it's asking us the mass of 1 jack. How can we figure out how much mass 1 jack has? There are 6 jacks, right? So on my whiteboard, I'm drawing 6 circles. I have 30 grams to share equally between the 6 jacks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Wait, I am dividing this total number of grams into 6 equal groups. Friends, I'm dividing 30 grams into 6 equal groups. Do I need to go and draw out all of these circles and dots? No, I can write a division equation to help me solve. My equation looks like this. 30 divided by 6 equals, are unknown. Question mark, or I'm going to use the letter J because J would stand for Jack. This should be included on your line. All right, all that's left to do is divide. 30 divided by 6. Now, I was drawing my circles and dots. If you do not have your division facts memorized, remember, you can do 2 things. You can ask yourself, what times 6 gives me 30? The other option is, if you don't know the answer to that, you can go, and you should go draw your circles and your dots. But I'm going to keep moving on. I know that 30 divided by 6 equals 5. 5. Let's see if this number answers the question that they asked us. What is the mass of 1 jack? 5. 5 what's? 5 grams. Now I can check this, can't I? How many jacks do I have? I have 6 jacks. How much does each jack weigh? It weighs 5 grams. If I multiply 6 times 5, do I get 30? Yes, I do. Folks, I want you to go to the next page, page 653 and 654, and I want you to solve those problems on your own. And then we'll come back and we'll do some more problems together. All right, I hope that you felt really confident when you were solving those problems. You might have had a little bit of a tricky time with numbers 13 and 14, so we're gonna do those together now. If you've already done them, you can check your answers. If you haven't done them yet, follow along with me. Let's look at number 13 on page 654. Number 13 says, 1 button has a mass of 3 grams. What is the mass of 1 pencil? We need to look at the picture of the bucket balance before we can do any sort of math equation. What do I see in the bucket balance? On the left side, I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 buttons. On the right side of the bucket balance, I see 1 button and 2 pencils. Okay. So let's go back to our question. Read it again. One button has a mass of 3 grams. What is the mass of one pencil? Okay. One button has a mass of 3 grams. We can find out the mass of the total number of buttons. So if one button has 3 grams, this left side has 7 buttons, we can do 3 times 7 or 21 grams. On the other side, we know that there's 1 button, so we know that there's 3 grams, but we don't know how much the pencils are. Here's what we can do. Let's cross off the button that's on the side with the 2 pencils, because on the other side we see it has 7 buttons. So if we took out 1 button from each side, it would not change that it is balanced. It would not change that it is balanced. If we take the same amount out on both sides, it will still be balanced. So on your page, maybe you want to cross off one of the buttons on each side. All right, now what does that leave us with? We used to have 21 grams on the side with 7 buttons, but we subtracted 3 of those grams by taking out 1 of the buttons. 21 minus 3 is 18. So now we see, this is where I'm at right now. We have 18 grams on the left side. On the right side, we have 2 pencils left. The question is asking us, what is the mass of 1 pencil? Well, if this is the mass of 2 pencils, we need to split this number in half. What's half of 18? 9. 18 divided by 2 is 9. So 1 pencil weighs 9 grams. That problem was a little bit tricky. Thanks for following along. Let's look at number 14. Number 14 says, when do you think it would be best to estimate the mass of an object, and when would it be best to get an exact measure? Tricky question again. Here's what I would say, and you can write something similar to this on your line, or you can go with what you think. Let's say that we were trying to find the mass of a car. Wow. Think about a car. Think about how much mass must be in a car. Would it be very easy to take this car, put it in a bucket balance, and try to get enough mass in the other side to balance it? Yeah, that would be super tricky. You couldn't even fit a car in a bucket balance. You would have to have like a giant bucket balance. What about if we were trying to find the mass of a pen? That would be easier, wouldn't it? We could easily put that in a bucket balance and put objects on the other side until they balanced. So, what I would say, we want to estimate the amount of mass when we are working with objects that are very heavy. It's just too big for us to actually measure. When we're working with smaller objects, or if we're maybe in the grocery store and we're looking at how much something costs, you can buy things like peanuts or rice or different supplies like that. You can buy them by the gram or by the kilogram. That's when we want to get an exact number, when we can actually measure how much we have. If we have something that's too big to measure, we want to estimate. Folks, I hope that that was helpful for you in clearing up the problems with those couple of problems. What you're going to do now is turn to page 655 and 656. You have a few more problems to do to practice on your own. Number 10 is going to be tricky. I want to do that one with you really quickly. I'm not going to give you the answer, but I am going to show you how to solve it. So we're looking at number 10 on page 656. It says, each of the 4 girls on Chantel's relay team got a swimming medal. One medal has a mass of 16 grams. What is the total mass of the relay team's medals? Now, normally what I would tell you to do is say, there are 4 girls, and each girl got a medal with a mass of 16 grams. Guess what? This is not a problem that I've taught you how to do. However, we have other strategies for solving multiplication, and one of them is four girls, each has a medal that weighs 16 grams. This is a problem that you can do. If you want to challenge yourself, try to find this one. This should help you get the answer for number 10. Keep working hard. If you have questions, please let me know. Have your adult email me. You have done some great hard work this week in math. Tomorrow, you're going to be doing a review page. I will make a separate video about that, but it will just be a quick review of all the things that we've done this week. Keep working hard. You are doing a great job. Go Dolphins!